Hi everyone, happy hump day, Wednesday evening weather for Weather Geeks time. You know what this is, it's the Valley's most in-depth, geeky, nerdy, detailed weather video. We do these each and every weekday, and we take a long look at what has happened in the past, what's going on right now, and what we expect to happen in the future, not just in the next 7 days like you'll see on a standard TV weather forecast or an app forecast, but we look at the longer range a lot of times as well. Wanted to review a little bit of weather news today. Of course, we talked about last evening how, of course, we had an EF1 tornado in Trumbull County yesterday morning. Well, the National Weather Service in Pittsburgh went out and did a storm survey today, a damage survey of northeastern Mercer County, and found that there was another tornado. It was the same cell that dropped the tornado over Mosquito Lake and Cortland yesterday. It then dropped a tornado over into the northeastern corner of Mercer County. Second tornado of the day, and only the second in our television viewing area in the month of January since at least 1950. This is only the 7th in the entire state of Pennsylvania in January since at least 1950. And overall, for any day of the year, this is the first tornado in Mercer County in about 3.5 years. It's been since May 31st, 2015, since we've had a tornado on any calendar day in Mercer County. So, boy, it was remarkable enough that we had one tornado, let alone two. Here's a look at where that tornado did drop. This was north and northeast of New Lebanon, closer to French Creek. Pretty rural area. Just minor damage to some structures out there, but for the most part, this was just tree damage. Generally speaking, thankfully, this went through an area that is not heavily populated because of a pretty strong tornado, especially by winter standards. Just like the Cortland tornado, this was an EF1 with maximum winds around 95 miles per hour. The path length a little shorter than it was in Trumbull County. This was on the ground for about 2.8 miles. This occurred at 11:25 Tuesday morning, about almost exactly an hour after the tornado that dropped in Trumbull County. That was about 10:25, 10:30. Here's a look at the plot of all the tornadoes from 1950 through 2016. I haven't updated this just yet for the last couple of years. We haven't had much tornadic activity over the last couple of years, but as you can see up in Mercer County, of course, we've had our fair share of tornadoes since 1950. This probably the farthest north and east in the county for a tornado since at least 1950. This tornado was up in here, and the closest one to that was this one. So more than likely, for the far northeastern corner of Mercer County, it's the first tornado touchdown since at least 1950. All right, it snowed today for the first time since December 8th. The first time we've had measurable snow at the airport. We've had trace amounts here and there, some flurries and that sort of thing, but this is the first time anything measurable has occurred at the airport and throughout most of the region since December 8th, over a month ago. 2.1 inches as of about 5:30 this evening at the Youngstown Warren Airport. The local amounts, generally speaking, kind of jived with that. 2.5 in Warren, 2 to 3 across the I-87 corridor, or the Route 87 corridor, I should say, in northern Trumbull County. An inch or two, pretty common, I think, for a lot of our television viewing area. Here's a look at the radar loop over the last 12 hours. It was a pretty active afternoon after a quick start to the day with some pre-dawn flurries and snow showers that coated the ground in some spots. We had a lull, and then activity picked back up this afternoon. And let me actually just kind of briefly go through this afternoon. We had these bands that went through mid to late afternoon. These were legitimate squalls here. As you can see, right around 4:22. That's a legit squall. This dropped some accumulations in Boardman, North Lima, Columbiana, heading up towards Ellsworth and Canfield. And then this one was a pretty impressive one near Route 30 in Columbiana County earlier on this afternoon. Now, as of 7:15, we've seen a downward trend in the coverage and the intensity of the snow shower activity over the last hour or so. That's a good thing, but we're not out of the woods just yet. This general pattern is going to stay with us through the night tonight, and I think through the night we'll see, generally speaking, snow showers ramping up in intensity again and then ramping back down. Pretty classic stuff for a lake effect regime. You'll see that here on our high-res futurecast. Now, through the night tonight and into the day tomorrow, I think the lake effect regime will be kind of recentered, if you will, in the northeastern part of our viewing area, a little more into western PA than our Ohio counties. Now, I think there will still be some snow showers around our Ohio counties, especially through tomorrow morning. But as we get into tomorrow afternoon and into tomorrow night, this is going to be more and more of a Mercer County exclusively lake effect event for our television viewing area. Of course, it's much colder, 20 degrees colder than the 7 o'clock hour last night. And with the wind, I was just out there moving my car, and it is pretty brutal out there. This is some of the coldest weather we've had so far this winter, with air temperatures in the lower 20s, wind chills in the lower teens. What you see is what you get for the night tonight. Wind chills will generally be between 5 and 12 or 13 all night tonight. So get ready for a very, very cold start to your Thursday. As you can see on our model here, again, the overall idea here tomorrow is with a little bit of a Lake Huron fetch, perhaps, and then gliding, I should say, down into northeast Ohio, northwest PA. This will be a little more centered over here tomorrow instead of back through here. So, again, particularly in Mercer County, this is going to linger into parts of tomorrow night. Now, we get a break on Friday. Then our attention turns to this system. On Saturday, this is not going to be lake effect, but more of a general snow as a winter storm emerges from the southern plain states and heads east. The track pretty favorable for us to get snow, but not favorable for us to get a lot of snow. If this came a little farther north, we'd get into some of the heavier snow. If it went a little farther south, we'd miss it completely. It's kind of taking a track where I would expect some snow here, but not a big-time storm. In the meantime, with our lake effect, here's what we can expect from here on out. I have included northeastern Mercer County in the 6-inch plus zone as a storm total, counting what's already occurred and what is yet to come for tonight into tomorrow night. So a storm total of a half a foot or more pretty likely in those places as a result of things lingering a little bit longer. A little more of Mercer County also in the 3 to 6 zone. I think for a lot of us from here on out in the lighter blue, I think a lot of us can see another coating to an inch or so as an average. Again, it's an average. Some places a little less, some places a little more, but I think on top of what's already fallen, another coating to an inch or so will be pretty common across the heart of our TV viewing area. Now, skipping ahead then to the weekend. Here's a look at our model spread for the Saturday afternoon, Saturday night snow. This is based on 10-to-1 ratios, and I think the ratios will be a little higher. It's going to be a pretty fluffy snow with the cold temperatures Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. So right now, our model spread between the GFS Ensemble, and the Euro is, generally speaking, about 1.5 inches to 2. I think you can add some onto these as a result of the higher ratios. I think a general 1 to 3 is pretty likely with this. And there might be a gradient from south to north with this. A little too early to pin down specifics, but there might be a gradient from south to north. There might be a little more in our southern viewing area with this, since it is a storm passing by to our south, the better moisture to our south. There might be a gradation between, say, East Liverpool and Kinsman with the higher amounts this time around, the farther south you are. Again, we're not going to get too specific just yet. It's only Wednesday. This is a weekend storm. This will be a big storm for St. Louis over to Indianapolis, kind of the I-70 corridor, and also for the Blue Ridge Parkway, and I think they'll get some snow in parts of Virginia, maybe over towards D.C. and Baltimore. And again, we're on the northern fringes of this, so this is going to be probably a couple inches, a few inches maybe at most, enough to be a nuisance on the roads, I think, during the second half of the day, Saturday into Saturday night. I think the snow winds down either Saturday night or first thing Sunday morning. Long-range look here in the 8 to 14-day period. Warmth out west, maybe cooler than average in New England. For us, we're kind of in between. I think, in general, the cold pattern the cold air mass that's here now is going to be here for the next few days. The air mass moderates early next week, and then from early next week through about the 22nd, 23rd, it's not a particularly warm-looking pattern for us, not like we just had, but it's also not particularly cold-looking either. It's for the heart of winter and the climatological peak of winter, temperature-wise, with the coldest temperatures on the averages for both the highs and the lows occurring, of course, in mid-January. Doesn't look all that cold compared to the average for mid-month. Does look likely to turn colder again at the end of the month and into February, as we've been talking about since the original winter forecast a couple of months ago. Thanks for sticking with me on this long video tonight. I'll see you back here tomorrow evening for a fresh edition of Weather for Weather Geeks.